Hi, I'm k.l.graywill. You can call me Kelso, and this is honestly so nerve-wracking to make a YouTube intro. I came here from the hellscape that is TikTok. I'm kidding. I love you if you followed me here from TikTok. But my milestone of having 10K followers on TikTok has been met, so I am therefore making the leap to YouTube. And I am so used to having to cram all of my content into 1 minute, so this is a little bit different for me. But my niche on TikTok is kind of like educational storytelling and world building tutorials, especially stuff on lore and narrative techniques and conlangs, etc. Most of that is framed through the process of creating my webcomic, 85 Unseen. So here is me working on an episode of 85 Unseen. Feel free to pull up some of your own stuff to work on, get comfy, get something to snack on. So most of what I do is not really suited for 1 minute videos, and it's kind of nice to have a YouTube so I can have a proper creative space for all of my world building and storytelling content. And if you're a writer or a comic artist, you already know that YouTube has plenty of this content. So I'm not really unique in that sense. Am I the only self-taught artist to start a webtoon in the pandemic? Absolutely not. But now that I have more than 1 minute to talk, I wanted to introduce myself a little bit since this is my first video and talk about what it means to be unique as a storyteller and how I found my identity as a creator. Like most webtoon canvas creators, doing my comic is not my full-time job. So I am a scientist by education. I did my bachelor's and my master's of science in neuroscience, and doing research is sort of my day job right now. But I have worn a lot of hats, everything from launching a Kickstarter for a product, managing a 3D printing lab, composing an original solo piano album for Spotify, working as an EMT, and of course, doing a lot of art. Doing so much art, in fact, that there's now an art award at my undergrad university, which is named after me. And I feel like I re-recorded that bit 10 times, but there's just really no way for me to say the award thing without sounding like a massive humble brag. But you know what? I am really proud of the things that I have accomplished and that I did them intensely and fully. And all of those things are sort of pieces of a puzzle. And the challenge of my life is showing people how all these different parts of me fit together. Growing up, a lot of my idols were people like Da Vinci, who is famous for being an artist and a scientist. But I felt like I constantly had to justify being interested in so many different things, and it was really confusing because people were simultaneously telling me to be well-rounded and a Renaissance woman, but then in practice, everything came down to having a singular focus for a career. Basically, I'm a person who believes that we're not meant to do only one thing with our lives, and I think it's a capitalist lie that you should become one thing and spend the rest of your life doing that one thing. I think we are taught from a very young age that we need to find a specialized focus or like an interest, something that we're really good at that we can build our career around. And for me, being human, my interest really in life is understanding what it means to be human. And that's not something that I can understand or approach through any singular discipline. And really, a lot of the ideas that we have about disciplines are pretty modern concepts. For example, neuroscience, my discipline, wasn't really created until the 1960s. So it's a more contemporary concept, these distinctions that we have between disciplines and the boundaries that separate them. And for me, answering this question about what it means to be human is something that I have to explore through science, that I have to explore through art and storytelling. And I think that interest, and with me being positioned kind of at this intersection of art and science, it comes through in my approach to storytelling and world building. My identity as a creator is very much rooted in this, in being both an artist and a scientist, but it was not always that way, and it seems like an obvious way to kind of brand myself, but really for my whole life, I was told repeatedly by people to stop doing so many things, to stop having so many interests. the whole jack of all trades, master of none thing, right? So I spent a lot of time trying to fit myself into some box, any box, because people kept telling me you can't be all these things. You can't be you. But you know what? You should just be you, okay? So, like, sometimes I'll post conlang videos on TikTok, and I'll be talking about, like, developing morphology for Abugida and Abjad font making. And the language lovers will come to the comments and be like, yeah! And then there will be, like, a couple random people that are like, I literally do not understand a word you just said, but I loved this video. So at some point, I had to tell myself to stop toning down me, because when you are you and you talk about your interests and your passions, that's what people respond to. So you should lean into it. And I think that that passion for me bleeds into my story. So one of the first things that I did for my story was, to absolutely no one's surprise, was develop a science for the world, which is called ogmology, or the study of fragments. And this has a direct tie-in to my magic system, which is built around the concept of consciousness. And consciousness, or like the spirit or the soul, has been a popular topic for science fiction for a long time. But I like to think that my take on it is kind of special due to my background in neuroscience. So those are just kind of tangible ways, like examples of how my background influences my writing, but I think that our backgrounds, whatever they may be, impact our general approach to stories. Not just how we construct worlds and characters, but how we decide to actually tell it. There are so many ways that you could tell the story of 85 Unseen. So many decisions that you might make differently from me. Stuff like how and when to reveal mysteries, how to approach character arcs, how to move the plot forward, etc. But if I tried to tell the story the way that you would tell the story, I might be really bad at it, or it might make me not even want to tell the story at all. But being able to imagine how other creators might go about executing my story is something that helped me kind of reconfigure it when I was stuck. And I think having someone like an editor, for example, or someone that can just act as your sounding board is really helpful, because it's good to tap into other creators and their identities as storytellers to help make adjustments to our own. Similarly, I think this is why I find it very difficult to work in teams of creators, because I always find that there are like too many voices, there are too many people trying to tell the same story in different ways, and I'm the kind of creator with a very clear vision for things, and it took me a really long time to learn how to share my vision with like co-creators or team members. And that's what's perfect about webtoons for me, is that even if there are people assisting me along the way, which there really aren't at this point, except like my one friend who proofreads and edits my scripts, I am in complete creative control of the story. I mean, I do constantly think about like how would my readers respond to the new update, and how might other creators approach telling this. But at the end of the day, it is my story to tell. And I just started posting the comic a couple months ago, a little less than now. So the adventure is very much just beginning. And I have no idea if anyone will watch this video, much less to this point. But if you did, tell me in the comments what you think makes your storytelling unique. And I want to give a shout out to my patrons, Suisus, Tharvex, and Morning Dew 60. So smash that like and subscribe if you want to tag along for the journey, and if you're curious about my sci-fi fantasy adventure, 85 Unseen, there is a link in the description.